For Bulls fans, the last thing you want to think about or relive is Derrick Rose's ACL injury back in the 2012 playoffs that effectively ended his career because, while yes, Rose eventually made his return, had some nice moments, and is currently still playing in the NBA, he was never able to return to the player he once was that had so much potential, being the youngest MVP in NBA history. And yet the curse of the point guard continues for the Chicago Bulls as yet again they're experiencing the same thing 10 years later in the injury to Lonzo Ball. Now, before you go off on me in the comments, I'm not saying Lonzo Ball is on Derrick Rose's level before he got injured, far from it, more so just comparing the situations and how it has set the Bulls franchise back for the foreseeable future. So in this video, we're going to be talking about the latest status on Lonzo Ball's injury based on this conversation with reporters in Paris and why this could very well mean the end of Lonzo Ball as we once knew. So what's going on, everyone? You're listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. Guys, it's been a while. You know, I don't like to do this often, but if you're new to the channel or if you've been watching for a while and you enjoy the content, then consider subscribing, as about 40% of you are not subscribed to the channel, and it would mean a great deal to me to keep the channel growing. But anyway, so as most of you know, the Chicago Bulls are currently in Paris, set to take on the Detroit Pistons on Thursday, and after they got in, they had a short practice in which some of the players talked to reporters, including Lonzo Ball, which has been rare as we haven't had a chance to hear much from Lonzo this season, given he's not doing pre- and post-game interviews, and a lot of what Lonzo said was stuff that we already heard. How he's continuing to work and progress in getting back, which I'm sure a lot of you saw the most recent videos he posted on Instagram of him sprinting on a treadmill and even dunking, which, don't get me wrong, is encouraging. That's progress from what we were at in training camp when Lonzo was still experiencing pain and difficulty in just walking upstairs. But at the same time, it has been over a year now since Lonzo played in his last game, and it's not like this was an ACL injury that he sustained. But Lonzo was asked by reporters whether he intends to play this season, or if the hope anyway was still to play this season, and while he said yes, he would love to play and rejoin the team, he was also realistic in his approach that he is running out of time and making a return, given he hasn't even been cleared for cutting and running full speed daily yet. Like, yes, it was great seeing him sprinting on that treadmill, but he has yet to have been cleared to be doing that on a daily basis because he's still experiencing discomfort in that knee. Lonzo also acknowledged that there is a timetable or date for which it likely doesn't make sense for him to return, even if he is cleared to start running and cutting, because by that point it'll already be so late in the season that it would just make more sense to wait until the following season. He did not actually give a date on that, but did say that there is a timetable in his head. And the other piece I will add, which is what Lonzo said back at the start of training camp for his media day interview with reporters, and that's that he was going to take this rehabilitation process slowly. He wasn't going to rush back onto the court, that he wants to ensure he gets this thing right, because again, this is his career we're talking about here, and it's concerning when he's having these issues at such a young age. Ball was asked about whether there were any concerns about this injury being career-ending or even the possibility of never playing again, and he was pretty emphatic that he doesn't have any concern about that at all, and that the process of getting back has just been time-consuming for him, and that it's all about building his strength back and his confidence back that he has in himself, which, sure, is great that he said that. But he also kind of has to say that. He's never going to say, or even if he thinks this, that yeah, I'm a little worried this is going to be a career-ending injury. As a player and competitor, you're never going to talk about something like that when basketball has been your entire life, and presumably, you still have so much of your career left ahead of you. But here's the problem that I think a lot of people, fans, media, the players, coaching staff, don't want to admit or face the reality of, is that while yes, I highly doubt this injury is going to be career-ending, Lonzo will eventually play another NBA game again, I don't have any doubts about that, but his career and the player that he once was isn't going to be the same. I think a lot of Bulls fans, myself included, have these grandiose expectations that once Lonzo is back, the Bulls are going to be back to what we saw at the start of last season, and Lonzo is going to magically be back to his old self. And maybe I'm just scarred from everything we saw happen to Derrick Rose after he eventually made his return, but based on everything that has happened over the past few months, my confidence is waning that Lonzo will ever get back to the player we once saw in his first half of the season with the Bulls. It is very concerning when a player who keeps getting these initial timetables for return of 4 to 6 weeks from the point of both surgeries, still, to this day, a year later, is still experiencing the same pain and discomfort in that knee. Need I remind everyone that this is the same knee for which he had surgery on back when he was 20 years old after his rookie season with the Lakers. 3 surgeries on the same knee, and yet he's still experiencing discomfort and hasn't even been cleared to cut, jump, and run on a daily basis. I don't know what else that tells you than to say something is wrong with that knee that is going to be a more permanent issue than not. This just does not happen in the NBA, where a player has multiple surgeries on a given body part and is inexplicably not able to identify what the issue is and why he is still having this lingering pain. Now, when Lonzo had the surgery again on his knee at the start of training camp to identify what was going on with it, trying to figure out the root cause of the pain, doctors said they think they found the problem that was causing the pain. They cleared up some bone fragments in the knee, repaired some cartilage, which that in of itself is concerning that that's what they found in there. But at that time, they cleared it up and believed they found the problem and that he would be reevaluated in 4 to 6 weeks. That was at the start of training camp. And here we are 3.5 months later with still no timetable for his return. And I hate to be that glass half empty kind of guy. I hate to be such a pessimist and downer when it comes to the situation, but I find it very hard to see a world in which Lonzo returns and is still able to play like we saw at the start of last season. I find it very hard to see Lonzo being able to still maintain his elite level perimeter defense with his lateral footwork and cutting ability. I have a hard time seeing him still being able to operate so quickly in transition and turning that defense into offense, and I have a hard time seeing him get up and down the court quickly and attacking the basket. Sure, there will be some aspects of his game that you would hope wouldn't be impacted as much, like his shooting ability to operate off the ball in a catch and shoot type role, and his overall court vision. Like, those things should still remain intact. But even with those, you're not getting the same player, because Lonzo's value primarily resides in his defense at the point of attack, his high basketball IQ, and playmaking in transition. If something is wrong with that knee, to where it's never going to be what it once was, in taking away some of his speed, agility, and athleticism, the things for which he excels at are going to be much harder for him to do on a bum knee. Not to mention the fact that just being out for so long is incredibly hard to get ramped back up to the pace and flow of an NBA game. Now, you would hope, because he's so young, he'll be fine and would have enough time over the course of his career to get back to the point that he used to be. But by all indications, things are not looking good for the Bulls to be able to see Lonzo Ball as he once was when he first joined the team. And it's a tough pill to swallow given how much he was able to impact the game in helping this team win and being one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference before he got injured. And it's a tough pill to swallow when he was brought in to be that point guard for the future and signing him to that 4-year deal and realizing you might have to go back to the drawing board to figure out who that floor general and playmaker is going to be for the Bulls for the future. Problem is, the Bulls window is already closing on that timeline that they find themselves in with an aging DeMar DeRozan and Nikola Vucevic and even a prime Zach Lavine. So my question to you Bulls fans, what should the Bulls do? Should they wait it out and see how Lonzo recovers and see if he can get back to the player he once was, hold on to that hope of continuity, or make a drastic pivot to a new look lineup? I also realize I'm being a big time pessimist here, and I sure hope I can come back to this video a year from now and realize what an idiot I sounded like and what an awful take this was, as Lonzo is on his way to winning Most Improved Player of the Year award. But as of right now, I have a hard time seeing that happening. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. As always, be sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.